Well, hey everybody, happy Friday afternoon, noontime, lunchtime, all across Alberta. We welcome you to Becoming a Community Builder. Take down the set, it's a coaching session. Time for you to ask your questions, make your comments. We're going to be checking in live with High River and see how things are going, coming up on a year anniversary. And we're going to talk with some of the citizens there. And they'll have some comments and give us all some insight and a question or two. As always for these coaching sessions, I'm joined by one of the other Becoming a Community Builder team members and the president of our organization, Miss Gina. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So you obviously didn't get the memo that we're not supposed to dress exactly the same.
I thought that's what we were supposed to do.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did I say that?
Yeah. We've become that couple.
We are that couple that we never wanted to be. We drive a van, we have 3 kids, we have a small dog, and we dress exactly the same. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Hey, everybody. Okay, so what are we doing? We're talking about being a catalyst for responsibility. A catalyst for responsibility. Today's community builder realizes they can't do it on their own. That is a failed model from a day gone by. You can't be the only one on the committee that does all the work. You can't be the only one in the group that gets everything done. And you can't wear that badge of honor that says, oh, I did it all, I did it all. No, that's not going to be effective today. And it's not the way to engage people today. And it's not the way to marshal human capital today. And it's certainly not the way to gain alignment. You've got to be a catalyst for responsibility. The community builder understands, demonstrates, and ensures that they are getting others to take greater responsibility and ownership than they did the day before. And I don't have this in the material, but I always put it parenthetically, and like it. So you get others to take greater responsibility and they like it. How do you do that? So last time in the teaching session, we discussed a little bit around, first, you had to have your own sense of responsibility, your own code of conduct, that we wanted leaders that were authentic and transparent, sincere, and that started with the code of conduct. And I asked you 3 questions that had 9 answers, and that could be the beginning of your code of conduct. Then we talked about buy-in. I know there's a buy-in question today. We talked about buy-in, and next week, we're literally going to take the whole week, or 3 or 4 days of the week, and talk about pride. That the catalyst for responsibility has a strategy to build individual pride of those around them, organizational pride, or even community pride. Because pride is a magic force. A magic force. And when a town is proud, or organizations, members are proud, or business, nonprofit, social profit, volunteer group, or when an individual takes pride, incredible things happen. It's a magic force. But before we do that, Gina, I think we have to remind everybody how to ask you questions.
Right. You can either use Facebook, put them in comments or messages in Facebook. So you can email it into questions@thechangingpoint.com.
Questions@becomingacommunitybuilder.ca.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Read the bottom of the screen. It says right there. Yeah, very good.
Or you can text them in.
Or you can text them into 780-951-6458. 780-951-6458. This is the last coaching session till we are there with you. You say there with us. Yeah, last week of June, I'm going to physically be back in your community last week of June. And later today, you're going to get an email that says save the date with the time and the location and the such, RSVP information if it's appropriate. Why? Because we're coming to celebrate. Yeah, but I'm not done. Hey, no guilt, dude. It's a no guilt zone. You can't get behind. You can't get behind because it's a self-paced program. Now, maybe you've been following along. Awesome. Or maybe you're doing it at your own pace. Awesome. We just want you to come and celebrate. We're celebrating people's participation. Now, we will give out what are they called?
Certificates.
We'll give out certificates, thank you. We'll give out certificates. I know I'm not very bright. We'll give out certificates for participation and completion. But mostly we're just celebrating people being involved. I have to tell you a funny thing. One of our alumni communities, Hannah, all their alumni have gotten back together and now are starting to work on summer projects. How cool is that? And some of them are still taking the program and it ended 6 months ago. So it's self-paced. We just want to keep the momentum going. So we're coming at the end of June to your community. Look for the date, time, and location, and just come and maybe even bring people as we celebrate either some of you that have completed, awesome, and all of you that have participated. We'll have some certificates, we'll have some words to say, a chance for us all to gather, a bump in, right, Gina? A bump in, an opportunity to bump into people. We don't have enough bump ins today. What's a bump in? It's a community gathering opportunity where people can bump into one another. That's when ideas flow. That's where community happens. Commitments, right? That's the defining key. That's the defining key. Get her on the screen for me, Jeff. There we go. That's the defining key, right, Gina, to whether someone completes or not.
Right. And, you know, I wanted to ask about that because you put up the commitment cat a few weeks ago, and
the commitment cat.
The
commitment cat. For those of you
cat.
who don't follow Facebook, we've found that if you put a cat on it, a picture of a cat or a cat video, then people pay attention. So that's the thing, right? We put the cat on there.
Yeah. So I knew that was kind of a desperate encouragement for people to send in their commitments. So how's that coming?
Well, I got to tell you something. Before I answer that question, unbeknownst to you, I want to go to a video of a guy making a commitment. Don't forget now, you can always post your things on video. We want more of your voices. This is Tyler Bentley, who I've met. Hi, Tyler. Tyler Bentley, when I was in Stony Plain, I got a chance to meet him. Tyler Bentley, who's in Stony Plain, Parkland County area. And I want you to listen to him and what he is committed to on video. What he's saying he's going to do through this program as a result of this program and how he's going to keep the momentum going. Jeff, run that Tyler Bentley video, please.
Hey Ian, Tyler Bentley from Stony Plain. I was originally making this video to ask you how you planned on following up with us in 6 months or even a year to see how we were doing with our commitments, how we were doing to improve our community. But instead of asking that question, I'm here today to make a commitment. To make a commitment to you and those in the Parkland County, Stony Plain area. And I hope that those of you in Grand Prairie, Bonnyville, High River, wherever you may be, choose to follow suit. I, Tyler Bentley, commit to use this program to continually learn and teach others within the Stony Plain, Parkland County area. Ian, you've stated many times that this knowledge and all the video clips are going to be available. So let's use them, not just for review, but to teach those around us. I am committing to having a cup of coffee with everyone from this program in the Parkland Stony Plain area. It'd be way too much to have everyone from Alberta. But I want to get to know you. Let's get together and let's see what ideas you have for growing our town, for growing Parkland County, Stony Plain. And let's use that to teach others, to get together on an ongoing basis. I originally sat down to ask Ian how he intended to follow up. But instead, I found my commitment. I found a way to take this program and not let it die off. Because if you're like me, I get lazy. I know that a month or two from now, I'm just going to go downhill. So let's not let this happen. Let's set up a way to continually learn, continually grow, continually improve ourselves, those around us, and our community. So I invite you to connect with me. Connect with me through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through email, text messaging, face-to-face. Doesn't matter how you connect, but I want to hear from you. I want to know if you are in on this idea, if it's sustainable. Can we set up a continually learning program in Stony Plain, Parkland County, for those of us in this program, and to use it to recruit other people? Because I can't do this together. Well, I can't do this alone. It's only together that we'll be able to improve. So what do you say? Can we get together and make Stony Plain, Parkland County, an even better place to live?
How about that? How about our boy Tyler, huh? What'd you think of that?
Wow. I mean, it makes you think it's more about the quality of the commitment rather than the quantity that we're getting too. I mean, this is really strong.
So the thing that I appreciated about Tyler's commitment, first of all, that he was willing to put it on video. Second of all, he was very specific about what he is trying to accomplish. He wants to keep this thing going. And then he had a pretty good action plan. I will meet with every person who's a part. Now listen, this is really telltale, Gina. He didn't say, I will meet with every person who's a part of the program and tell them my idea. He said, I will meet with every person to listen to their ideas.
Yeah.
To listen to their ideas about what we can do to keep momentum. And you know the other thing I appreciate about it, Gina? He wasn't looking to us to keep it alive. He understands that leaders will find a way to keep it alive in their own community. I've said to many people have said to me, even the mayor of Fort McMurray, Mayor Melissa said to me, the first time when we beta tested this in Fort McMurray, Mayor Melissa looked across the table from me and said, Ian, how are you going to keep it alive? And I said, that's not my job, Mayor. My job is, your job is to keep it alive. I don't live in your town. I don't live in Fort McMurray. I don't live in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo. It's not my town. It's your town, Mayor. Keep it alive. And that's what Tyler's saying. And that's the thing I love about Tyler's comments, was that he's saying, I will. Here's what I will do. I can't, and he said it. He said, I can't meet with everybody all across Alberta.
Right.
He said, I can't meet with everybody all across Alberta, but I can meet with everybody in my town.
Yeah.
I can't solve the problems of the whole big bad world. And you know, we saw just a few days ago evil in play. Just a man randomly killing people. Looked like he was specifically targeting RCMP officers, first responders, and if given the opportunity, would have killed more. How do you combat that? What do you do with that? I'll tell you what you do. You do what Tyler's doing. He's going to go build community one person at a time. He says, I'll meet with every person that's committing a part of the program. He said, well, how does that solve crime? You know what? We build stronger community. Connectiveness. We build a sense of belonging, of value. People feeling they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Now, is that going to eradicate random evil? No, I'm not saying it will. But I am saying this. It mitigates the risk. It mitigates the risk. We all know, and all studies show, a more connected community, a safer community. Safer community. So Tyler, thank you for your commitment. And Gina, I think that where you were going with that, before I snuck Tyler in there on you, was what kind of commitments are we getting?
Right.
It's been amazing to me. Now, Gina is not aware of all the commitments because we don't share them. I look at them. And that's why it does take me some time to get back to those of you that made commitments. And I'm about 3 weeks behind, but I'll get to you. But we have had an overwhelming number of quality commitments. One individual, or actually a couple of individuals, have committed to a library or improving the libraries that exist. Another has committed to a dog park. Going to put a dog park in the community. And we know, you know what's funny? A dog park is an amazing community gathering space where people can bump in, as I mentioned a moment ago. We've had commitments to start programs for youth or take a program that is a emerging or burgeoning program in its infancy and make sure it comes to completion for youth. We've had a commitment to help the at-risk. We've had a commitment, and this one really touched me because of our son, a commitment to help the disabled children of a community or the all abilities children of a community. These are real commitments made by real people. So I'm elated by the commitments that have come in. Significant and real commitments that I believe people are going to follow. Now, on a side note, we've also got some very personal commitments. We've gotten some very personal commitments. The one that touched my heart was a woman said, I will connect with my teenage daughter who I've lost. Lost her. That the relationship is gone. She may physically be in the home, but the relationship is completely gone. And she said that this summer she was going to make an all-out commitment to salvaging that relationship.
Wow.
You say, Ian, why do you get so emotional? Because I am just so sick of evil winning. Like that mom and daughter being separated, you know, if that mom doesn't make that commitment, then that relationship just fades and fades and fades and fades and fades. And then she doesn't talk to her mom, and the mom doesn't talk to the daughter, and then it's just hell for those two. And then neither one of them can bring it back together. But the mom is stepping up and say, I'll be a leader. I'll fix that relationship. So that's the kind of commitments that we've gotten. But we've also got commitments that people have said, I'm going to work on my time management. I'm going to work on my communication. I'm going to work on more effective delegation. I'm going to have a cup of coffee with the mayor. I'm going to go meet with the mayor. I mean, it doesn't matter what your commitment is. Just make your commitment. Make your commitment. 1,100, whatever it is, 1,158 people, whatever, close to 1,200 people making a commitment. That's extremely powerful. Okay. So, what do we got next, Gina? What do we got next? We got some questions, right?
Yeah, we had a couple questions. One question come in actually.
Hold on one second. So, all of you in High River, get ready. I'm going to take this question, and then we're going to come to you in a few minutes in High River. So, go ahead.
This is from, I'm assuming, a committee member.
Okay.
Asking, saying, you know, our attendance in our live sessions have been dropping off.
Okay,
at the library. What are we doing wrong? Are we missing something?
Okay, let's talk about that. So, attendance in our live sessions dropping off. I want you to, everybody to stop and remember two things. One, no guilt zone. Two, self-paced program. So that dropping off of people is a natural occurrence in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's a natural occurrence. People are going to drop off. Life circumstances occur. Things happen. Drop off. Guilt sets in. They get a little behind. They don't want to show up. So guilt sets in. So instead of just showing up and remembering it's a no guilt zone, they just don't come because they're a little behind. I think we can't worry about who's not showing up. We got to work with the people who are there. And we've got to make a continued effort to build the relationships with those that had come one or two times and reach out to them. Now, hopefully, whoever asked that question, that first time we got everybody's names and numbers, or got everybody's emails, or we shook everybody's hands. And then the second time we continue to cultivate and build that relationship. Remember, the local viewing locations are just a bump in opportunity. That's all they are. They're a bump in. You say, Ian, man, you're using that word a lot. Yeah, because I wanted to sink in with you. Create opportunities for people to bump into one another. And that's all the public viewing sites are, an opportunity for people to bump into one another that might not normally gather, but they have one thing in common, they care about community. So you say, well, hey, some of those people have dropped off. Well, if you know who they are, reach out to them and personally invite them to come to next Friday. That personal invitation, love to see you. And then they'll say, I'm behind in the program. And you say, who cares? Who cares about Ian? Who cares about the program? I just want to see you. Ultimately, it's about making that meaningful connection with one human being. Meaningful connection with one human being. So if it's dropped off and you know who those people are, make a personal invitation, not an email. Make a phone call, go by their office. And if all you got is email, okay, fine, last resort. But make the personal invite to try to get them to come to Friday and say, hey, it hasn't been the same without you. I remember, Gina, when I was a kid, growing up in the States, I used to go to this African American church. And there was a lady there. She would say this, welcome to church, because church wouldn't be church without you. And she would, and I thought she meant it. I thought that church wouldn't be church without me. Plus, I needed fire insurance, so I would go to church. And my point is this, the program won't be the program without you. Please come. That personal invite for next Friday. That's what I would do. Overarching, two key philosophies. Don't worry about who's not in the room. Focus on who is. If you want to make sure that people stay in the room, build that trusting relationship. They'll show up for the relationship. Who cares about Ian and Gina and becoming? They'll show up for the relationship. I know you have another question that it would dovetail off this really good. Let's do that question and then we'll go to High River.
Okay.
Carol's question and comment.
Oh yeah,
Or her comment more.
She just has a comment.
Yeah.
And she says, The
This
collective
is Carol from Vermilion.
from Vermilion, yes.
Yeah, and hey, everybody in Vermilion, how are you? We love you. Vermilion, going to be there at the end of the week, or end of the month. So we'll see you soon. Go.
Collective intelligence trumps individual smarts when solving shared problems. Not sure where I heard this. We think we have to come up with the answers sometimes rather than admitting we don't have the answers to the problem at hand. You have reminded us all of this. So if we know this, why don't we make time for group input and relationship building? Perhaps we want the fast track to getting things done, which often excludes the time to connect with others. The culture of independence and the me first are in conflict with relationship building and team building in many workplaces because it is hard work and very time consuming.
All right, so let's talk about this really, really quick. On one hand, we have expediency. It is more expedient to send out a blast email to 10,000 people. It takes time to have 100 cups of coffee. It is more expedient to send out a memo to solve the problem, and the solution came from one person sitting in office, sends out a memo to everybody, as opposed to sitting the stakeholders down and involve them in the problem solving. But let's extrapolate those strategies out to their logical end. The person sends out the memo, tells everybody how to do it, and everybody says, kiss my you know what, because you don't know what you're talking about. So they cross their arms and attitudinally resist because they weren't involved. So you spend the next 5 months trying to correct the problem. If you would have just sat down with them and put a little bit of time and energy into getting their input, getting their buy-in, then you wouldn't have had to spend that 5 months to correct the problem. Or conversely, you're trying to get people to be involved in something, so you send out 10,000 emails, nobody responds. Whereas if you would have just gone out and built consensus, gained alignment by having some cups of coffee, identifying those self-selected early adapters, the core group that you have would start to exponentially grow as they utilize the same strategy. Sold a lot of Tupperware that way. It's not the most expedient. It's not the most expedient. Relationship marketing is not the most expedient, but it's the most effective today because it'll penetrate the 17,000 media impressions. And if you want to look at it from a historical standpoint, many of the, at least two of the three largest religions on the face of the earth have grown in that manner. Christianity and Islam have grown in that manner, that relational approach. So we know it's effective. We know it works, but Carol's right. We try to be more expedient, thinking that that's more effective. There's a difference between expediency and effectiveness. I don't need 1 million people to be a part of becoming a community builder. I need 10 Tylers.
Yeah.
10 Tylers. 10 Carols. 10 Daneldas. 10 Caitlins. 10. 5. Change the world. Or at least their corner of it. Chelan and Ron. Chelan and Ron in Pincher Creek. $283,000 raised. Chelan and Ron were the catalyst to responsibility of the town. Shelley, Carol, who are they? Sangudo, Alberta. Shelley and Carol were the catalysts of responsibility. They got a whole town rallying over close to $500,000 of improvement in their community. One lady in Cold Lake and a principal, one mom and a principal, were the catalyst to rallying and built a big old playground, and I've seen it over and over again. So do we need millions? That's it. Okay, to get to millions, we got to try to find an expedient, but is it effective? And I think that's what Carol is reminding us here, right?
She is. She
Okay.
is. And there was also a comment saying we may be watching at home too.
Oh, that's right. You may be watching at home. And if you have your robe on, close it up. It is the two-way camera. That's right. Well, those of you that are watching at home, thank you so much for watching at home. That's awesome. All right, guys, can we start to fire up High River? We'll put them on notice there. We're going to go to you, and as soon as we have them dialed in, we will let you know. But before we do that, you can ask your questions. You can text in your question. You can Facebook in your question. Oh, I can hear it coming in. We're dialing them up right now, getting them going, ready to go. My headphones, put it right there. Okay, I think we have High River. High River. Put him on the screen there, guys.
Can you hear
Hold on, wait. Don't get all excited. You're not on the screen yet. Now you're on the screen. All right, bring him full screen, guys. Okay, now you can hoot and holler. There we go. Move that camera over a little bit so we can get everybody in the shot there.
I think we have everyone in the shot.
Oh, do we have everybody in the shot? Well, hello, High River.
Hello. Hi.
So, first of all, and I see the most famous woman in the area sitting in the front row there, all on her knees. Why are you on your knees? Come on. What are you doing? The lady with 3 names. Hey, tell me how, because we're coming up, this is a time of celebration because of an incredible comeback, but also a time of anxiety and trepidation. I looked at the weather. I know that there's some rain coming. Tell me what's happening. Now someone's sneaking out of the shot. Tell everybody in Alberta, all across the province, because we care and we want to know how. There we go. Now we're starting to get everybody in the shot. Whoever's going to be talking, is it Caitlin that's going to be talking? Caitlin, say hi.
Hi.
Tell us all, because we all want to know, how are things going in High River over the last, the cameras are gone now, the attention's gone, but how have things been going in the last months as we come up on the year anniversary?
I'm going to let Town Councillor Kathy Cooey speak to that.
Thanks, Caitlin. When you say the cameras are gone, actually with the anniversary coming, the cameras are back. And we anticipate the next week to be a media central here again. Just a kind of a little synopsis, it's really hard because we are all dealing with this in much different ways and much different phases. But outside our building, our downtown is absolutely torn up. As exciting as it is, our downtown utility work will be repaired, and when that's done, we're going to have a beautiful downtown that businesses are going to be dying to come and be a part of. When you go down the street, our absolute jewel of a George Lane Park has got green grass again, and when you drive by, it just brings elation to you. But unfortunately, you turn another corner and another house is down, or you hear another story of someone that's not home or someone that's in Saddlebrook. We had a presentation from the High River Counseling Services, which we are so fortunate to have that come to our community because of this. But their numbers are up. And as you said, the forecast is not great, but I must say I just had an update and they're not predicting as much rain for our area as we had, so that's great. And the anniversary is going to be very hard on some people. So we're all aware of that. I heard two lines this week that kind of described, we're having some struggles with some funding elements. And one resident said, it feels like I'm in a black room, clawing at the walls, trying to find a door that's not there. And then our mayor described it. He said, I want the people in this position looking after this program to put yourself in the worst hell you've ever been and empty your bank account. And that's what many High Riverites are going through right now. So, we've been offered so many advantages and opportunities such as this one. And I want you all to know that we are not taking that for granted, and we are taking those to the limit. I knew I couldn't do it. But it is our intent. High River will be better, will be stronger, and will be a place that people are going to love to be a part of. And thank you for helping us get there.
Well, thank you, Counselor, for your comments. And, I had an opportunity to spend a short period of time face-to-face with many of you. And then over these last few weeks, I've gotten to know some of the participants in greater degree. And it's interesting, Counselor, the comments that you just made really echoed almost every email that I've gotten. Said on one hand, things are moving forward, but on the other hand, things are as they were that day. Or on one hand, I've made progress in my personal life, but on the other hand, I got no money in my bank account, and my relatives are telling me I'm crazy for staying here. And so I just want you to know that I'm just inspired by you. The intestinal fortitude that it must take to keep fighting the good fight, to go through the bureaucracy, to go through the craziness, to go through the nonsense. And I'm not being disparaging to any governmental entity or anything like that. It's just craziness, some of it. And the people I've talked to on that and on the other side have said, yes, it is craziness, but it is what it is. But what can we do those of us that are outside of the community, what can we do to help? And that's to the counselor or anybody else. At this juncture now, as we come up to 1 year, we're looking forward. I know many have said we don't want to look back, we want to look forward. What can we do who are outside of the community to support you, to assist you, and help you move the thing forward?
Come visit us.
Come to town.
Come visit High River. You know, that's one thing that we really wanted to share with others that are taking the program is, you know, the flood happened a year ago, but it consumes our lives, and as that consumes our lives, life goes on. People are born, people die, people get cancer, people, you know, have illnesses, and businesses open, and school ends at the end of June, and we have our annual parade and our car show, and the snowbirds are coming to High River July 20th. You know, we want to encourage people to see that even though our town is still a work in progress, we are still open for business, and you know, we need support from other communities to keep our town thriving, not just surviving.
Well, I know that when I was there last, I made some economic contributions to your community. Gina has a brand new jacket from that, right?
I do have a ski jacket.
Gina has a ski jacket that she got. My kids have gifts. So you know what I'm going to ask you to do, Caitlin and Counselor and Missy and all the rest of you? Will you do me a favor and send me all of the list of events that are happening this summer? And then I want to send it out to all of the Becoming a Community Builder current participants and alumni from across the province. That's close to 4,000 good people. And we'll just send it out to them and say, hey, come to High River. Here's all the cool events. Here's all the cool openings that'll be happening, all the shops, all the restaurants, all the stuff. And then we'll try to come and support you by putting some dollars into your economy, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, do you have any questions for us today?
I think we all have some comments that we wanted to share just about how we have used the program to keep the spirit alive in our community. And I think Marilyn had something that she really wanted to share. She is the chairperson of the Southern Alberta chapter of Habitat for Humanity, and them along with some other non-governmental organizations are doing great work rebuilding homes in High River.
Well, go ahead, Marilyn.
Thanks. So I've actually taken a lot of learnings out of the Community Builder program, and some of it is surprising that at this point in my life, it's the first time I'm really starting to think about these things. But what I think more than anything have realized is that when we talk to people about Habitat for Humanity, we've actually changed our conversations from more fact-based, and we start with the why. And we have really seen a shift in momentum in Habitat from just from supporters. We have some volunteers who have stepped forward. We've gotten some grant money recently. I think that when we go now and we talk to people, we talk about the personal stories and why Habitat really matters, and we don't focus so much on the factual and how the Habitat bureaucracy works, because there really is bureaucracy even in that NGO. And we've seen a total momentum shift. I can give you an example. In Okotoks last week, we spoke to the Okotoks Lions Club, and we started our conversation with the why, and I could see every person in the room stand up and listen, that there is a problem with homelessness in the foothills, that there are people in dire need of housing, and that the impact it makes to families. When you give them the personal stories, they listen. The following morning, I got a phone call from the Okotoks Lions, and we're now the beneficiary of their pancake breakfast at Sports Day in June. So we have seen a huge momentum shift in just applying some really simple learning.
That is amazing. Congratulations. Woo! And you know what's funny about that, not funny, but what is interesting to me is, one, you are a well-heeled professional. You know Habitat for Humanity. You have a passion for Habitat for Humanity, and you just made a slight margin change, a slight adjustment of the knobs and dials, and the next thing you know, you had more effect. You were more effective. So thank you so much for sharing that story, and thank you for all the work that you're doing with Habitat. It is amazing work that you do.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other? Yeah, give her a round of applause. That's awesome. Anybody else? A comment, quickly comments or questions?
Well, I think the one thing that we kind of want to leave with, Ian, is just the story of High River is all about the amazing strength and resilience of the people that live here. You know, throughout all of this, no one ever said we can't. And I'll try not to cry. You always talk about overcoming inertia and getting in alignment. Our community was forced to get into alignment, and we're better for it. So I think our legacy as the group of people that have taken this program is to just continue to promote that legacy as our community recovers and we see people start to move back into that unalignment, that us as community builders can kind of say, no, like, we're better together. So.
Well, what an amazing, amazing story. And I've told all of you, those of you on the committee, and when I was there in the community a few weeks ago at the beginning of the program, I believe in my depth of my heart that High River will be a shining example to other communities that go through tragic circumstances of how to do it well, how to do it right, and how to sustain and come out of the situation not only thriving a year later, but 5, 10, and 20 years later. High River will be a beacon of hope. And I said this to you guys when I was there. I said the High River way. The people in Australia and England and the United States, when they have a tragedy, they'll say, okay, what was the High River way? And I believe that that is going to be your legacy. And I believe that you, all of you sitting in the room, are a part of creating that beacon of hope. Thank you so, so very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And just bless you for all the work that you're doing. You're awesome. Woo! Woo! You can clap. Bye. See you later. I'm going to tell you something. Those of you that haven't had an opportunity, you need to go to High River. You want to be inspired. You want to be motivated. You want to look at your own personal circumstances and say, I ain't got nothing to complain about. Go. Go to the shops that are in temporary buildings, but the shop owners are still trying to run their business, trying to find a way to make money, feed their family, pay their mortgage. In a situation where they might have a house over here that they can't even live in, so they're living on somebody else's couch. Or they've had to get another place in a surrounding community or something. You'll be inspired. And you're right, as Counselor said, this next week the cameras will be there, everybody will be there, but then 10, 12 days after, then we got to show up. Me and you. We got to show up and spend some money at that little restaurant that I had some food in. And we got to go buy some ice cream, and we got to go with the park, and we just got to go buy a jacket like I did for Gina. And we just go contribute to their economy. And then, if you're going to go, send me a note. And then I'll connect you with those people that were in the room right there. And then you can go hug them and pat them on the back. Give them a lift up. Tell them congratulations. Tell them to keep fighting. Can you imagine if 1,000 or 1,500 community builders came to High River over the summer and had cups of coffee with all those people? Tyler, you got to drive from Stony Plain to High River. Come on, brother. That's what this thing is about. So thank you to the citizens of High River, the 200 plus that are participating in the program, for inspiring us. And I look forward to seeing you at the end of the month. All right, what do we got next?
Okay, going into Catalyst for Responsibility.
Yeah, Catalyst for Responsibility.
And you talked a lot about buy-in.
Right.
And there are some who thought that buy-in was the 100 cups of coffee. You're trying to get buy-in at that time. So what's the difference? Okay,
good question, because it is nuanced. It is different. The 100 cups of coffee strategy is to build the trusting relationship. Once I have the trusting relationship, doesn't mean I'm going to get somebody's buy-in. It does increase the likelihood of buy-in occurring. And it does expand my sphere of influence, but it doesn't get me buy-in. So how do I get somebody to buy in? Just because I have a trusting relationship with them and then I want them to be involved in what I'm doing, what oftentimes I hear is this: good on you. Good job, Ian. You go for it. That's awesome. Go get it, Ian and Gina. Go, 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 go. Right? We've heard that before.
Or we're not going to stop you now.
Yeah, we're not going to stop you now. Go for it. And you know what? We look ridiculous with the same
Yeah, I
shirts
know.
on. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyways, so, wow. We need a wardrobe department. Anyhow, so what's the nuance, Ian? I'm using the 100 cups of coffee strategy to expand my sphere of influence by building trusting relationships. But to get the buy-in of that person of influence, I must ensure that what I'm trying to do is relevant to them, could be of impact to them, or they perceive that what I'm doing is of quality. It is highly unlikely that I will get buy-in if I don't have two of those three. So I can have the person of influence have a trusting relationship with me, and then come and talk to them about something that has nothing to do with them. They're not going to buy in. They're not going to give me any money. They're not going to give me any time. They're not going to give me any of their talent. It's just not going to happen. But they will say this, good on you. And as Gina just said, I won't get in your way. So the next step is the buy-in strategy. Now, what were the keys to the buy-in strategy? First, you ask yourself those questions before you start to go and have that conversation with the person you built a trusting relationship with. Well, what questions? Am I going to be able to show the impact? So we just heard Marilyn, right? It was Marilyn? Habitat for Humanity, Marilyn? Mm-hmm. We just heard from Marilyn. She said, I went to the Okotoks Service Club there. I think she said Rotary or Lions, I think she said. I went to the Lions, and I talked about the relevancy, the why. Well, obviously, people in a service club want to hear the why of something, not necessarily the how, and she did an excellent job of engaging them. And the next thing you know, the next morning, because she was able to show relevancy, impact, and Habitat already had a reputation of quality. Next thing you know, the whole pancake breakfast is going to her organization. Now, I don't know if she sat down and formally thought, how am I going to communicate impact? How am I going to communicate quality? How am I going to communicate relevance? But she at least thought through, I got to communicate the why, or we got to communicate the why. So the first step in getting buy-in is understanding why that other person might find it relevant, and then being able to communicate that. And remembering that we're communicating through 4 filters. 4 filters. So we've got to be able to communicate impact in fact. We got to be able to communicate impact through values. We got to be able to communicate impact through the belief. We got to be able to communicate impact through the emotion. We got to be able to communicate impact to all. So I'm fond of, and Gina, you've seen it work many, many times. I'm fond of it. Before I go and talk to somebody, I can say those 4 things. The impact, like we were talking about it this morning. I was talking about it to somebody this morning. A new soccer initiative that we're going to, a sports initiative that we're going to start. Theoretically, I'm supposed to say theoretically. Otherwise I get in trouble with my wife. Theoretically, if we do it, that $5,000 investment of a soccer program, if we save one kid, we save $50,000. How's that? Because all studies show that if I can get that kid through the vehicle of sport, a quality sports program, I increase the likelihood of that kid graduating grade 12 by about 65%. If that kid graduates grade 12, they're more likely to get a job. They don't even have to go to college, but they're more likely to get a job if they grade 12, as opposed to being on social assistance. If that kid's on social assistance over a 2-3 year period, direct and indirect cost to society, close to $50,000. So that $5,000 investment of a soccer program that will service hundreds of kids, if we just save one, we've got 10x. That's a fact-based impact communication. So once I've identified, I've asked myself those questions, the 3 questions, relevance, impact, quality, I'm ready to communicate it through the filters, fact, emotion, value, belief. This is the point where the 100 cups of coffee and the buy-in approach converge. There's convergence between, this is where they intersect. How so? Because I've built the trusting relationship with somebody, I have credibility. Because I've built the trusting relationship with somebody, I know what their goals, their dreams, their hopes, their aspirations are. So then I'm able to bring my thing and fit it to what I know they're passionate about, their desires, their wants, their hopes, their needs. I'm able to fit it. So the groundwork that I do to build my sphere of influence makes it a heck of a lot easier to bring information to another person and be able to get their buy-in, because I already know what they're about. I've done my research, I've gained my information like we've talked about, and I'm able to communicate it in their communication style and make sure that I can show relevancy, I can show impact, I can show quality. And final note on that, if you can't show quality, in other words, somebody's saying you either don't have a track record of quality, you've never done anything, or in the past you've screwed things up. For the latter, you just stand up and admit, I've screwed things up. But here's the steps that I've taken to make it better. That increases the likelihood of the naysayers buying in. Okay, what if I don't have any track record at all? Then the key is you have to be knowledgeable. You have to be able to speak to where they've done it here, 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 where they've done it here. So if you don't have a track record of getting something done in a community, you better come with a whole bunch of information so you seem to be the most knowledgeable person in the room around the subject matter. All right, I think that did I clarify that?
I think so.
Okay, what's
Yes.
next?
Well, first of all,
12 minutes, go.
Just want to let you and Jeff know. Well, some people missed Tyler's comments, so can we replay that at the very end again?
Yeah, we'll play it right at the end. They missed it, how come?
They were watching last week's session.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the teaching session or
Okay,
something, but
all right, that's fine.
I just got notice of that.
All right.
Okay.
You know what we'll do when we say goodbye? Let's say goodbye with Tyler's comments, and then we'll go into the post roll. That's the beauty of live interaction. Live. It's live.
We can do that.
All the way live. You remember that song?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Gina's younger than I am. Mm-hmm. Anyway, go ahead.
Culture of accountability or culture of blame. What do you mean by that? What's the difference between
Culture.
the two?
Oh, okay. So
the
I know
two
what
phrases.
you're referring to. I think 2 sessions ago I might have said that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Accountability and blame. It is my assertion to all of you that we have done ourselves a disservice under the guise of accountability. What? See, when we first started saying we're going to start holding people accountable, whether that was elected officials, whether that was the CAO of a town, whether that was the head of a nonprofit, we're going to hold people accountable. What it slid to very quickly was we're going to blame people. Who are we going to blame? Now I'm going to use the federal level because it's just the most, we all see it. And I'm not attacking anybody. But how much time do we see on CBC, CTV, or whatever, of our leaders trying to find out who to blame for something? Under the umbrella of accountability. We got to find out who to blame so we can hold them accountable. Well, are we really trying to hold them accountable, or are we just trying to get a score because we have somebody to blame? So to me, we've done ourselves, we, not them, we all have allowed that. And we've done ourselves a disservice because now nobody wants to try anything innovative. Nobody wants to try anything new. Nobody wants to try anything outside the box. Oh, people will say it's outside the box. People will say it's innovative, but if you really look at it, it's just a retread of something else. Because nobody wants to take a risk. Because if they take a risk, they're going to get their you-know-what kicked if it fails. Because of this culture of blame. Now, let's bring it down to your local municipality or your local area. Somebody tries to do something new and they just get blasted. Either they get blasted by people that have been around for a long time and say, we're not going to accept anything new. Or they get blasted because it failed and someone's looking to score a point by taking them down. Culture of blame. So what's a culture of accountability? To me, a culture of accountability is as follows. We say what we're going to do. We build action plans to reach it. We have celebration for success. We have consequences for not meeting those goals. That's it. But we don't attack someone personally. We don't destroy someone's character. We don't open up the newspaper and comments are made so strong that it makes somebody's daughter cry. I've had that happen to me personally. When people said I wasn't smart enough because I didn't have a college degree to open a school for disadvantaged kids. I wasn't smart enough. And at the time, my 8-year-old daughter, 9-year-old daughter heard about that. That's wrong. You don't need to destroy me personally. So to all of you that are elected officials that are participating in this program, and more importantly to all of us citizens, let's move away from a culture of blame and move the pendulum back to accountability, which is here's the goal, here's the action plan, here's the celebration for success, and here's the consequences for the goal not being reached. That's simple. But we don't have to attack people personally, because what the net effect of that is this: a toxic environment where nobody wants to try anything new. So gridlock, we get stuck and nothing moves forward because no one dare innovate, because if it fails, they'll get their head chopped off. And frankly, I can't tell you how many people told me this program would fail and weren't willing to get on board because they didn't want to have, they didn't want to have that mess close to them if it didn't work, who are now calling and saying, how can we get involved? Now, am I angry or bitter with them? No, I'm not in any way. I know why they had to protect themselves. But that's the culture we've created. So how can there be innovation? How can there be creativity in that environment? Man, to all of you that are local counselors, counselor in High River, and all the rest of you that are local elected, God bless you. God bless you. Man, I couldn't do it, because it's such a toxic environment, and maybe not in High River, but in so many communities, such a toxic environment. So let us move from a culture of blame back to a culture of accountability, and it's up to us citizens to demand that. Up to us citizens to demand that. All right, that was long-winded. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Did I take care of it, though?
I think so.
Okay, go. Next.
That's all I have right now.
No other questions?
No.
No other questions at all?
Nope.
And no other questions in the chat box?
Mm-mm.
No other questions anywhere?
Nope.
Why?
I don't know.
It's the last coaching session. Text in
Last
your
chance.
questions. You can email in your question. You can chat in your question. This is it, last coaching session. Now, two interesting things while we're waiting for some questions to come in. Tyler did say something that is important, a question, and then he moved away from that question to what he was going to do. What happens after the end of the month? What happens after the end of the month? Well, Tyler's right to a large degree. That's up to you. We've done our part. We have freely given you a program. Our organization and local sponsors have freely given you a program. Local committee, local sponsors, and us together have freely given you a program. Now, what you do with that, that's on you. But we will do a couple of things. One, you'll always have the portal available to you. Two, if and when we run the Becoming a Community Builder program again, you're more than welcome to participate, and anybody in your town is more than welcome to participate, forever. You have the portal forever, but if somebody wanted to participate in the next live program, you could do that. And then, this is new, we're gonna do quarterly broadcasts just like this, on different subjects, on different information, but once a quarter, we're gonna offer something. Once a quarter, that's our commitment, once a quarter, once a quarter. So you got three things. You got the portal forever. So you have that option. You have, anytime we do it live anywhere in the world, you can participate. And we'll always make your committee aware to get the word out. And then finally, once a quarter, if you don't do those two other things, once a quarter, we're going to let you know that there's a teaching going on whatever subject, and that you can participate. And of course, always for free. Why? Because Tyler's important. He's an informal leader. Because Caitlin and all the ladies there, Marilyn and everybody else there, important. Because of the people up in Grand Prairie, in Vermilion, in Bonnieville, Cold Lake, the MD, Stony Plain, Parkland County, all important. Because it's the informal leaders that makes the community go. It's the informal leaders that makes the community happen. So we're making an all-out commitment to equipping you. Now you need to do your thing. We only have a few more weeks left of the live program. I'm coming to your community at the end of the month. No matter where you're at in the process of the program, please come to the celebration. Just come. It's a bump-in opportunity to gather people together. In High River, there should be 100 people plus at the bump-in. In Stony Plain, in Parkland County, in Vermilion, in Bonnieville, in all of the communities, Grand Prairie, everybody come out to the bump-in. Even if all you've done is watch one video, even if this is the first time you're turning it on, come to the bump-in, that community gathering as we celebrate. For those of you that are still inclined to make a commitment, make your commitment today. It's never too late. Didn't somebody ask that, when can I make my commitment? When was the last time I can make my commitment? When was the last moment? I don't care if you make it till the day before the celebration. You make your commitment the day before the celebration, you're getting a certificate.
We're still getting them from the last.
Oh yeah, we're
last
still getting
group,
commitments
yeah.
from the last group. We're still getting commitments from the program that ended in fall or in winter. The program that ended in January, we're still getting commitments and still people participating in the program. So we know it takes time. All we ask you to do is do something. The cumulative effect of 1,158 or whatever it is people doing something. The cumulative effect of that is a better Alberta. So do something. Make a commitment to do something. All right, anything else as we wrap up?
What about making a commitment after the 15 weeks? Is with the archive, will they still get?
Yeah. So if you're at the celebration or you're just participating in the program, you don't come to celebration, everyone gets a certificate of participation. If you've watched some of the videos and we track that, if you've opened some of the emails and we track that, then we will give you a certificate of participation. If you make a commitment, then you get a certificate of completion. If you make your commitment after the 15 weeks, fine, we'll give you a certificate of completion. The defining factor of that certificate of participation to completion, commitment, that's the defining factor. So I want you to make sure you make your commitment before we come to your town so I can hand it to you, but even if you make your commitment after, we're still going to get you that certificate. All right, before we go to Tyler, anything else?
We just have a thank you,
Okay.
and it's we are thankful for the opportunity you have provided for us, and we will not let our community down. Thank you for caring about rural Alberta, Ian and Gina.
You know why I'm so emotional today? Because this morning, I was questioning if this program is of value. And you say, Ian, we hear the stories that you tell, it must be of value. I agree. But if we were honest, Gina, we were having that conversation, weren't we?
Yep.
I mean, as we were getting ready, you can show her. As we were getting ready to come, we were talking about it, weren't we?
We were.
In real and meaningful terms as a couple, of how it impacts our family, how it impacts our finances, how it just impacts us. And we were trying to figure out, is it worth it? And comments like that and seeing the people in High River just tell me it is. That it is. That it's worth it. It's worth our time. It's worth our talent. It's worth our treasure. So thank you. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for believing in this idea, this concept that regular people can change the world. And if they're better equipped, then they're better able to do that. Thank you for being an inspiration to us. And thank you for making your commitment. And for those of you that haven't, we encourage you to do so. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Tyler's comments. And then after Tyler's comments, we'll just end and go into the music at the end. Thank you for joining us. We got our last teaching session next Friday. And don't forget, at the end of the month, we're going to be in your community. There'll be a reminder that'll start going out to you so you can put it on your calendars, okay? We love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey Ian, Tyler Bentley from Stony Plain. I was originally making this video to ask you how you planned on following up with us in 6 months or even a year to see how we were doing with our commitments, how we were doing to improve our community. But instead of asking that question, I'm here today to make a commitment. To make a commitment to you and those in the Parkland County, Stony Plain area. And I hope that those of you in Grand Prairie, Bonnieville, High River, wherever you may be, choose to follow suit. I, Tyler Bentley, commit to use this program to continually learn and teach others within the Stony Plain Parkland County area. Ian, you've stated many times that this knowledge and all the video clips are going to be available. So let's use them, not just for review, but to teach those around us. I am committing to having a cup of coffee with everyone from this program in the Parkland Stony Plain area. It'd be way too much to have everyone from Alberta. But I want to get to know you. Let's get together and let's see what ideas you have for growing our town, for growing Parkland County, Stony Plain. And let's use that to teach others, to get together on an ongoing basis. I originally sat down to ask Ian how he intended to follow up. But instead, I found my commitment. I found a way to take this program and not let it die off. Because if you're like me, I get lazy. I know that a month or two from now, I'm just going to go downhill. So let's not let this happen. Let's set up a way to continually learn, continually grow, continually improve ourselves, those around us, and our community. So I invite you to connect with me. Connect with me through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through email, text message, face to face. Doesn't matter how you connect, but I want to hear from you. I want to know if you are in on this idea, if it's sustainable. Can we set up a continually learning program in Stony Plain, Parkland County, for those of us in this program, and to use it to recruit other people? Because I can't do this together. Well, I can't do this alone. It's only together that we'll be able to improve. So what do you say? Can we get together and make Stony Plain, Parkland County, an even better place to live?
There comes a moment when my heart must stand alone on this lonely path I've chosen.